Hey, let's look at problem 8 in WebAssign 11. It turns out it's a lot of algebra, so I want to get you started on it. I worked on it yesterday, and I kept making mistakes, and it ended up taking me way too long. So anyway, I'll get you started on it, so then you can finish out the very last algebra at the end. So what we have are, and they have pictures in the book of this, and the problems of this. What we have are two curves and two parabola things. And they say that there are two places, and it's not obvious, but they say there's two places on there where a line is tangent to both of them. Now, one of them I can kind of see, and I just kind of roughly drew this, but let's say there's a point, well, I drew it kind of like, I think one of them's taller. Here, I should redraw this one, make it a little bit taller. So there, so like maybe I could see where there's something like this, right? So it's tangent to both of them, tangent to there, tangent to that curve. So I could see where maybe that's the case, where there's one line tangent to both curves. And they tell us there's two. I don't even know where the other one is. Somewhere maybe down here or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The good thing is it doesn't matter, because we just know there is one, and then we gotta, the trick there is to label these points and then do all our algebra. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is call this one here, my blue one there, so I'm gonna use a blue marker. We'll call that A comma B, A comma B. So that point where it's tangents AB, and then we'll just go CD for the black one here. So that point there is C comma D. The blue curve is the f of x one, is the blue one. The black one is this one. And I know that because I know this one hits an x equals 0, it hits 6, which is where this one hit the picture in the problem. So, and it actually doesn't matter as long as we're consistent, okay? So the AB goes with this one. So the AB goes with our f of x, and our CD goes with this one. So we'll call this point where it's tangent CD. Turns out there's 2 points. There's 2 C's, 2 D's. All we gotta do is find, we'll find both when we go searching. There'll be a quadratic formula. We'll get both of them. Okay, so we have 4 unknowns. We don't know both of those points. We don't know A, we don't know B, we don't know C, we don't know D. That means we need 4 equations that relate these things to figure them out. The first equations we have are these. Okay, so f of x is like y, which is like b. So right away we have from this one that b, our y value, is 6 minus 10x squared, which is a, so 10a squared. And same thing here with our g of x is like the y value, so that's like d. So d is equal to 8 minus, why is this a c? It should be an x minus 2 squared. I already put the c in there, sorry. X minus 2 squared. So 8c minus 2 squared. Yeah. So the equation's right, 8x minus 2. So we plug in the c for x, I did it too early, and we get that. So those are 2 equations that relate these things. We need 2 more. Now, we know the slopes. And they have to have the same slope. At that point and that point, they have to have the same slope. So let's take the derivative of those things to find the slope. So the derivative of the blue one is, let's see, is derivative of 6 is 0. Derivative of negative 10x squared, take the 2 here, is negative 20x. So we know that that one, the derivative m at that point, the slope, the blue slope is negative 20x, which is equal to the black slope at that point. So that's equal to, at that point, it's negative 20x. Here, I'll just write the slopes first. And then the slope is also of the black one. Derivative of 8, 0. Same thing here, 2. Here we're going to use the chain rule. To ignore the 8. 2 times negative is negative 2 times x minus 2 to the 1. All right, times the derivative of what's inside. This is a change rule, but the derivative of what's inside is just 1, because the derivative of 2 is 0, and the derivative of x is 1. So times 1. I didn't really need to write that. So the slope is negative 2 times x, so negative 2x, but then negative 2 times negative 2 is 4, so plus 4. Okay, those 2 slopes are equal when we have a, b, and c, d. Okay, so let's use that now. When those are equal at A, B, and C, D, they're equal. So when our blue one is A, so negative 20A, okay, when when x is a, that's equal to this slope when x is c. So negative 20a is equal to negative 2c plus 4. Okay, those are the slopes. So that's an equation. That's nice. And then the other the other equation we have is just the regular definition of the slope to relate these things. The slope is change in y over change in x. So let's just go, doesn't matter, let's go this way. B minus d. So the slope here is b minus d divided by a minus c. And we could have gone the other way, but it doesn't matter. Okay? And at those points, it's equal to one of these. Doesn't matter which, we can use either one we want. Let's say it's equal to this one, so negative 2c plus 4. Okay, so we have 4 equations. We have this one. These are just from the regular formulas. We have the 2 slopes are equal. And we have the other way to find the slope is equal to the slope. And we could plug either one of those in. And I don't know, I decided to plug that one in. Hope I don't regret it. Okay, now we have a lot of math to do. Now with those 4 equations, we got to figure out one of the letters. If we can figure out one of the letters, then we're good. Because then we can figure out the other letter. If we know A, we can figure out B. If we know B, we can figure out A. And then we know the points, and then we know the slope, because the slope is just negative 20a, or negative 2c plus 4. We just have to figure out one letter, and we're good. We can figure out the other letter. And all we got to do is use one point, right? All we need is one point in the slope, because this one's going to have the same slope. It'll be the same line. So all we need to know is, we just need to know a letter. I chose to look for the letter C, just because it seemed easiest to me. There's probably other ways to do it. So let's see. The first step I did when I did this, I want to make sure I do this right, is I used, what did I do? I used this equation, I think. Let me see here. I used this equation and solved for A to get rid of the A, and then I plugged that into some other equation. Oh, I plugged that into this equation, so then we had B. Yes, okay, so let's start with this one. There's lots of ways to do it. You just got to start going with it. This looked easy to me because the A was by itself. So we divide both sides by negative 20. So from this equation, A is equal to, divide this by negative 20, the negatives go away. It's negative 2 over negative 20, which is 1 over 10, which is 0.1. And I decimalize it, so that's 0.1 c. 4 divided by negative 20 is 1/5, which is 0.4, and it's negative. So negative 0.4. Okay, that's from this equation solving for A. And I think that's right. No, it's not. Sorry. 4 over 20 is like 1 over 5. It's 0.2. See? You got to be really careful. 4 divided by negative 20, divided by 4, you get 1. Divide that by 4, you get 1/5. 1/5 is 0.2, not 0.4. So minus 0.2. Okay, that's from that equation. Now, I'm going to square this and plug it into here to find B. So let's square that. So A squared is 0.1 times 0.1, which is 0.01 c squared, minus 2 times these multiplied together. 2 times them multiplied together is 2 times that is 0.2 times 0.2 is 0.04 minus 0.04 c, right? 0.2 times 0.1 c is 0.02 c times 2, 0.04 c, yep. And then plus this squared, which is 0.04. Again, I chose to decimalize it as fractions. It might have been better. When I first did it, the mistake I made is I put 0.4 here. And I did all the rest of the work, and it wasn't right. Where did I go wrong? I finally figured it out. So I know this is right because I'm checking against my work earlier, so I don't do it again. It's terrible. Okay, now we know what B is. So B is 6 minus 10 times A squared, right? 6 minus 10A squared. A squared is this. So 0.01 C squared minus 0.04 C plus 0.04. That's easy math. Just change the decimal. Minus 10 times that is 0.1 c squared, right? Just move the decimal over 1. 10 times 0.01 is 0.1. Minus times a minus, so it's plus 0.4 c. Minus times the plus is minus again, minus 0.4. That's what b is equal to. The only one we can combine is the 6 and the minus 0.4. So let's do that. So finally we get b is 6 minus 0.4 is 5.6. So 5.6 minus 0.1 c squared plus 0.4 c. That's what b is equal to. And 5.6, yep, that's right. So I'll put a box around that one. So now we know what b is in terms of c. Again, I'm going to get rid of, I want to have an equation with all c's, and then we can solve for c. And if we know c, we know d, because we can plug it into here. We know, and then we can know the slope, because the slope is negative 2c plus 4. So if we know c, we know the slope, and we know the point, and then we can find the equation for the line. Right? All we need is a point and a slope. So that's what we're going after. So I'm going to go for c here. All right. So we know what b is. Now we're ready to use this equation. This side already has only c's. That's awesome. Here we can put b in terms of c. We can put d in terms of c using this one. And then on the bottom we put a in terms of c using our a over here. Put a box around that one. A is that. So we write a here. This is the c. That's what we want. And then we can only have c's. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to use this equation and to get only c's, and then we can solve for c, and then we know what d is, because we can use that, and we know what the slope is, because the slope is negative 2c plus 4, and then we can find the lines. And you're going to get two values for c, because it'll be a quadratic. So I'm going to go over to the board over here. So get this over here. Okay. So you can see that to continue the algebra. All right. So, let's see, we have b, we're going to use this formula, b minus d is over a minus c equals negative 2c plus 4. Now let's do all our substitutions. We found b over there is 5.6 minus 0.1 c squared minus, plus 0.4 c. That's b minus d, and d is the original equation, 8 minus c minus 2 squared. That's b minus d divided by a minus c. A we found was 0.1 c minus 0.2. That's a minus c. That's already a c. And that's equal to negative 2c plus 4. Okay, all c's. So now it's just algebra to solve for c. Let me get you started. First, let's simplify the top. Let's see, c minus 2 squared is c squared minus 2 times those multiplied together is minus 4c plus 4. That's what that is. And it's 8 minus that, so 8 minus all this stuff. Okay? So the signs are going to change, and we have 8 minus 4, which is 4 there. And on the bottom here, we have 0.1c minus c, which is negative 0.9c. Okay, so let's rewrite this. So we have on the top, we have 5.6 minus 0.1c squared plus 0.4c minus everything in here. I'm going to keep those parentheses there because it's so easy to make a mistake. Minus 8 minus all this. 8 minus this. So that would be minus 8 minus 4 is 4. So that would be the 4 there. Minus c squared minus plus 4c. And that's equal to negative 2c plus 4, this, times what was in the bottom here. And then the bottom here was negative 0.1 minus the full c is negative 0.9c, times negative 0.9c minus 0.2. Everything's negative there. Okay. Here we have a minus. You can combine. Now the trick is combining all these terms. So let me make sure this is what I got before. Minus 4 minus c squared. Yeah, so we combine all these terms. Okay, let me see if we can get, I'll do one more step here, then you guys can finish it on your own. we have 5.6 minus 4. That gives you 1.6. Right, those are the only numbers we have. So 5.6 minus 4 gives us 1.6. So we have 1.6 here. Let's see, let's do this. Let's cross those out so we know that we're done. It's a really good thing to do. Use my red pen here. So we got rid of the 5.6 and the 4. Okay, how about the c squareds? Minus 0.1 minus is plus. So c squared minus 0.1. So it looks like that the plus wins by 0.9. 0.9 c squareds. Right, this is a minus plus a full c squared minus only 0.1 c squared is 0.9 c squared. Okay, I think that's right. So now we got rid of those. And how about the c's? We have a plus 0.4 c minus 4c. So that is 0.4 minus 4 is minus 3.6 c. Minus 3.6 c. Right, positive 4 minus 0.4. Yeah, the negative wins, negative 4. Yep, minus 3.6c. And that is equal to the other side. So we got to multiply those two things together. Negative 2c times negative 0.9c is positive 1.8 c squared. So 1.8 c squared, right? 2 times 0.9 is 1.8. Negative positive, yep. Negative 2c times negative 0.2 is positive 0.4c plus 0.4c. 0.2 before, yep, that's right. Then 4 times negative 0.9c is minus 3.6c. 4 times negative 0.2 is minus 0.8. Like I said, there's so many places to go wrong, and I did a couple times. I was doing this on my own and beat my head against the wall. But I think this is right, and I keep checking against what I did before, so I don't make the mistake again. So yeah, 0.4c minus 3.6c. Yep, that's right. Minus 0.8. Okay, now let's put everything on the same side. I'm doing too much of it for you. Yes, let's do that. Then I'll stop. So, okay, let's put everything on that side because we're already there. So, the numbers by themselves, we have a 1.6, we have a minus a 0.8. So that if we add the 0.8 over here, that gives us 2.4. So we have a 2.4. And then that gets rid of the 1.6 plus 0.8 when you put it on the other side. Okay, let's do the C's next. What the heck? Over here we have a plus 0.4c minus 3.6c. So that would be minus 3.2c, right? Okay, so let's put that over here. That's plus 3.2c minus 3.6c. This one wins. So minus 0.4c. Minus 3.6 plus 3.2 gives us 0.4. Okay. Now we got rid of those. So this c went away. Both of those went away. This negative 3.2, which means this thing went away. And now we have, subtract that. 0.9 minus 1.8 is negative 0.9 c squared. And that's equal to 0. Is that what I got before? 0.4c, yes. Okay, it's nice to have a it doesn't really matter, but it's nice to have a positive c squared. And we can make, so it doesn't matter here. Let's rewrite this as this one first, so let's make it all positive. So 0.9 c squared plus, because we're going to change the sign of everything. This one becomes positive, this one becomes positive. 0.4c, but then negative minus 2.4 equals 0. Minus 2.4 equals 0. Okay, that is our quadratic equation for c. Two values of c. Once you find c, you can find d, again, because we know that d is just 8 minus c minus 2 squared, and the slope we know is negative 2c plus 4. So we can find both points. This is the y value, c is the x value, and we know the slope and you're going to get 2 points, right? We're going to have to do this twice. We're going to get 2 slopes, and then you can find the lines, and you lots of decimal places. So far, this is perfect. I have not estimated anything. Leave lots of decimal places. When you do the quadratic formula, I think they want it to 2. So that means keep like 4 or 5, and then put a couple extra in there, and I think that works. It seems like they'll take that. So I'll let you figure that out on your own. Find those points and the slopes, and find both lines and put them in, and hopefully you get it right. I know this is right. Okay, this is what you're supposed to get because I made all the mistakes for you. Cool. Okay, good problem. Good luck. Thanks for hanging in there. Bye.